News headquarters in New York. This is the CBS Evening News with Morton Dean.
Good evening. A major milestone may have been reached on the long road toward making the prices of U.S. autos more competitive and the jobs of U.S. auto workers more secure. An agreement has been reached between Ford and negotiators from the United Auto Workers Union. In Detroit, Ned Potter has more details.
This was history. On that and a lot else, both sides agreed. Peter Pastillo, Ford's vice president for labor relations, had said at the outset that the failure of these talks could be the death knell for a significant portion of the industry. Now Ford said the deal augurs well for the workers, the company, and the nation.
It represents a dual commitment, that of United Auto Workers and ourselves, to go forward together.
To help Ford, which lost $2.5 billion in the last 2 years, the UAW agreed to the following. Workers accept a delay in their cost of living increases until the end of this year. They give up their paid personal holidays. And for beginning workers, pay will be reduced to 85%. In exchange for these concessions, Ford offers profit sharing, new training programs, and most important, several new guarantees of job security for workers threatened by layoffs. Ford promises to curb outsourcing, laying off its own employees and farming out the work to cheaper non-UAW suppliers. It will guarantee that employees with at least 15 years seniority get half their base pay until retirement, even if they are laid off. And the company pledges to try to accomplish workforce reductions through attrition rather than firings.
We are starting down the road where we'll reach that point in the auto industry where workers will be treated in a more humane and civilized manner when you have a recession or depression.
The union's Ford Council must now ratify the pact. That happens in Chicago Wednesday. Then the rank and file must vote.
And that vote the union leaders would not predict. At Local 36 in Wixom, Michigan, the members were holding their winter carnival and wondering how the new deal would help them.
From reading the rough outline, I feel that it may even be better than what we had before.
I feel like concessions are just like designer jeans and rebates. It's in style.
In the meantime, another question. 2 weeks ago, similar talks broke off at the industry's giant, General Motors, and Chairman Roger Smith warned of more outsourcing and more layoffs. Last night, Douglas Fraser called the Ford deal critically important. But the question now is whether it represents the future for the entire industry. Ned Potter, CBS News, Detroit.
This past week, President Reagan suggested that opponents of his economic plan put up or shut up. Today, the AFL-CIO, which opposes the plan, said its building and construction unions will put up $500 million from pension funds to invest in job-creating construction projects. Unemployment in the construction industry is running at about twice the national average. The announcement of the plan comes from Bal Harbour, Florida, where the AFL-CIO Executive Council is holding its annual midwinter meeting.
Are you ready for the next great romance in your life? Introducing new Silhouette Special Edition.
I know all about great romances. I'm Janet Daly. Silhouette Special Edition is unlike any other. Longer, spicier. Why, you'll be so involved, you can't put it down.
Make your own special time even more special. Relax with new Silhouette Special Edition now.
The United States Postal Service handles 300 million pieces of mail a day. Well, that's their job. But that doesn't mean you have to put your important business letter into that pile. Now you have an alternative. Introducing the Federal Express Overnight Letter. It costs only $9.50 when you drop it off, and it gets delivered practically any place in the country overnight. Absolutely, positively.
Another American missionary has been murdered in Guatemala, the third in 7 months. He was James Miller, a Roman Catholic Christian brother from Custer, Wisconsin. He was gunned down by 4 men wearing hoods. Miller was teaching at a school for the poor northwest of Guatemala City. His killers have not been identified, but human rights groups have blamed most of the violence against church workers on right-wing supporters of the Guatemalan government. Across the border in El Salvador, Army Lieutenant Colonel Harry Melander is packing his bags. Melander is a senior U.S. military advisor to the government of El Salvador. He was relieved of his duties yesterday and ordered home. Melander's offense: he violated orders by carrying an M16 rifle in the field, in addition to an authorized handgun, and by allowing others under his command to do the same. In Washington, Bob Simon has more.
State Department officials said the M16 incident is one more example of how Vietnam memories are crippling American policy in El Salvador. These officials were critical of the White House, saying that instead of calling for a full report, the president should have defended the right of Americans to defend themselves in a dangerous part of the world. Secretary Haig, however, said the administration had to be consistent.
We cannot have double standards where we apply pressure to the government of El Salvador to live by certain standards and ignore them when they're violated on our side. On the other hand, it's not that grievous a problem that our young people who are exposed to danger seek to arm themselves. The unfortunate part was it was a violation of standing ground rules established by our country.
You see a major difference between carrying a .45 and an M16, a political difference?
Well, I don't think the whole is much difference. I feel more comfortable with a 16, having been less than accurate with a .45 in the past.
Of course, the soldiers aren't supposed to be in dangerous places. State Department guidelines drafted last May stipulate that they should travel only where government forces have established full control. U.S. officials admitted today that if strictly observed, this would now mean that American advisors in El Salvador would hardly be traveling at all. Bob Simon, CBS News, the State Department.
During an ABC News interview on another subject today, Secretary of Haig said there was mounting and incontrovertible evidence of continued Soviet use of chemical warfare in Afghanistan, Laos, and Cambodia, and says Haig casualties among non-combatants are in the range of scores of thousands. Another thorn is growing in U.S.-Israeli relations, this time over Jordan. When Defense Secretary Caspar Weinberger visited Jordan yesterday, he raised the possibility of arms sales to King Hussein. This raised the ire of Israel, which called Weinberger's remark a new and dangerous development. Bob Faw has the story.
For some members of Mr. Begin's government, Weinberger's remarks are the last straw, and they make it clear that Israel won't sit in silence over the possible arms deal.
We cannot sit in silence and see how one of our worst enemies is going to arm itself and to establish missiles and rockets in a range from which they can shell most of our towns.
The government, which has been moving troops and equipment near the Lebanese border, argues that Washington can't have it both ways, cannot arm one of Israel's enemies, Jordan, then expect Israel not to attack another enemy, in this case the PLO forces just over the Lebanese border. Some members also complain that the U.S. would be repudiating Camp David by selling arms to a country which opposes that agreement.
So I wonder whether the United States is going to reward the country which is rejecting joining the peace process.
To the Begin government, Mr. Weinberger is a villain, blamed for the sale of AWACS to the Saudis and for blocking the sale of Israeli arms to the U.S. And in the parliamentary debate which begins here on Monday, Mr. Begin is expected to ask if this time Mr. Weinberger is speaking for himself or for the administration. Bob Fall, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Tonight, in America, millions of adults will have trouble falling asleep. And tonight, more of these people will count on Sominex than any other sleep aid. At times like these, Sominex helps you feel drowsy, so you get to sleep in minutes. Next time sleep escapes you, trust in Sominex for the sleep you need. Sominex, it's simply faster.
Got a busy day ahead? Then take along the vitamins in Kellogg's Product 19 cereal.
Delicious.
100% of 9 vitamins and iron that can keep you company during the day.
Morning, children.
And that adds up to good nutrition. So when things get hopping, the vitamins in Product 19 can help. 100% of the way, 100% of the day. Kellogg's Product 19. We're with you 100%.
Poland entered its third month of martial law today, and the day was marked by new reports of protests. Poland's official news agency says that nearly 200 demonstrators were arrested yesterday in the city of Poznan when they refused to disperse. The agency says most of them were students or people who are unemployed. Martial law had been eased in Poznan, but because of yesterday's protest, it's back in full force today. The high point of Pope John Paul's visit to Nigeria was to have come today, a meeting with some of the leaders of Nigeria's 40 million Muslims. But the high point turned out to be a low point, as we hear from Richard Roth.
Pope John Paul offering an olive branch to northern Nigeria's Muslim leaders was snubbed late today when the Islamic religious leaders he was scheduled to meet failed to show up. The Pope read his statement anyway, a Vatican spokesman saying that as far as he was concerned, the message calling for dialogue and understanding between the two faiths had been delivered. As the Pope left Kaduna to return to Lagos for the night, government officials offered different explanations for what happened. One blamed security concerns. Another said the Muslims disagreed on how to greet the Pope. John Paul had come here to encourage the growth of Catholicism in an area where most people are Muslim. And through most of the day, he was warmly received, celebrating Mass and ordaining almost 100 priests in a vast field. In his homily, the Pope had carefully avoided repeating his criticism made yesterday of the practice of polygamy. That is one sensitive point of difference between Catholics and Muslims, and the Pope today was hoping to court the Muslims. But if some of the aims of John Paul's visit were set back today, the spectacle was unaffected. When he first greeted the crowd this morning, the Pope was behaving like a pilgrim. Polish school teachers and medical workers living near here had carried the Polish flag the Pope kissed, and the Solidarity banner he couldn't miss seeing. Richard Roth, CBS News, Kaduna, Nigeria.
And that's the news. I'm Morton Dean, CBS News, New York. Have a good evening and a good week.
Honey, breakfast!
Great coffee.
Yeah, it's Maxwell House Master Blend.
Oh, isn't that supposed to save us money?
Mm-hmm. It only tastes expensive.
Master Blend, a special blend of 100% coffee we make a special way so you can save money. Master Blend, it only tastes expensive.
If you're shipping big and small packages, you could feel left up in the air. If you don't know the company that has its own scheduled delivery of virtually any size package the next morning. Nope, it's not any of them. Introducing Emery AN. Only Emery delivers any size shipment from ounces to tons to most of America the very next morning. It's the Emery Edge. Take us up on it.
From around the world and from CBS News headquarters in New York, this has been the CBS Evening News with Morton Dean. For an update on today's events, watch the CBS Sunday Night News with Charles Osgood.
Dan Rather brings 30 years of worldwide reporting experience to the CBS Evening News, the leader in television news. Join us weeknights on CBS.
This is CBS.
Betty McNair Burke wanted a new Datsun, but the price had to be right. It was at Stoneman Datsun.
My car is every bit as much fun to drive as I thought it would be. But the thing that really makes the big difference is that I got the very best price here at Stoneman Datsun.
Betty wanted price, and Stoneman Datsun delivered. Price a new Stanza at Stoneman. Price from $64.54 at Stoneman. When it comes to price, come to Stoneman. Stoneman Plaza, South Piggott Street, Alexandria.
If saving money on a new color TV or video recorder sounds good, this message from Errol's TV will sound great. You still have one final day, tomorrow, to save on over 2,000 new RCA, Zenith, and Sony color TVs and video recorders at the lowest prices of the year. Plus, you'll get Errol's 30-day price guarantee. Save at Errol's GW birthday sale tomorrow until 9 p.m. See your Washington Post for full details.
Are doctors misrepresented by the media? Monday, several doctors discuss how the media, and Donahue in particular, portray doctors as insensitive, money-hungry incompetents. This is Eyewitness News with Steve Gendel.